Welcome to The Verdict. This edition is brought to you by the UPND Alliance. And today I'm hosting Mr. Victor NYASULU. We are going to be discussing key commitments for the city of Lusaka. I'm Patrick Soko, and in the next 1 hour I'll be discussing pertinent issues pertaining to the city of Lusaka. There are a number of political parties that are participating in this election, and the UPND Alliance is among contenders of the top job in as far as the mayoral city is concerned. Now, Mr. NYASULU, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Patrick. It's nice to be back again. Good evening, viewers.
Today we'll be discussing key commitments that the people of Lusaka would want to hear from you as a candidate in the forthcoming elections. And to just get started, I want you to tackle this important issue that has been that we have received as even here at Camera TV, people asking us to ask you as candidates, which is the issue of alcohol and drug abuse in areas, for instance, like Chiworia, Kanyama, Bauleni, Kawata, name it. Alcohol and substance abuse is on the rise, and want to find out, as a candidate for the UPND Alliance, what are you going to do to address that?
Patrick, first of all, we need to start from the beginning. And one of the most important things to ask in any problem is to look at possible causes of where we are. We are generally at a time in our life as a nation whereby a lot of things have collapsed. And one of the things that has collapsed is just a way of sustaining individual families in this country. And so some of those people who, unfortunately, you hear us say, people have become junks because they are addicted to drugs, are a result of the inability of the family to look after itself, because the breadwinners just don't have jobs to do that. But that's one aspect. There are other people who are addicted to drugs, and it is not because of economic hardships. There will always be this problem, in a sense, because there will be that core, even if you resolve the economic issue, that will still make you have people who are addicted. Because even in the most developed countries, you have that problem. What are we going to do about it? First of all, you will hear from our presidential candidate, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, that there are key things that we are going to concentrate on. The first one is that we will fix the economy. When we fix the economy, we will have real jobs. When we have real jobs, we'll have food, and that will help keep families intact. The actual problem which is there right now, we are thinking about establishing counseling centers and rehabilitation centers. For counseling, we will have a way by which we can capture what's happening in families. We will let the Ministry of Community Development, who already have a system by which they engage with community, we will collect data as to the socio-economic status of the 400,000 plus households or families. And with that data, we can intervene at the correct level. You will have people who are just beginning to go into drug abuse, and then you will have those who have already become a junk. So the ones who are just beginning, the first point of call is the counseling centers. The ones who are advanced, who have rehab centers, that are properly manned by people who are educated from the Chainama Hills Training Center. We will also emphasize on rebuilding families. We will support families support families in order to support themselves. When we do that, we will be nipping in the bud some of those problems of drug abuse which are as a result of the family being unable to look after itself.
Just as we talk about that same issue, Mr. NYASULU, there is the aspect of gambling that is being witnessed, especially among young people as young as 8 years. And what are some of the consequences of that, and how would you seek to address that? Because I think that is also has negative effects, especially in as far as raising a morally upright society.
Yes, some of the consequences you ask, Patrick, of people engaging in vices like gambling at a tender age of 8 is that you will have a community of Zambians that will be unable to run this economy. Because of the addictive nature and sometimes lucrative nature of gambling, although it's a game of chances. I mean, out of every 10 that are involved in gambling, perhaps only 1 can end up hitting it. And when they hit it, statistics show that that wealth does not last very long. Easy come, easy go. So the effects are very telling on this economy. We will have no future, in fact. We'll get to a situation where we would have to import teachers the way we were doing just after getting independence, because we would have no people who are interested in progress in the professions as well as in proper business. How will we address it? Well, we will rule the country using laws, but more importantly, we will always try to understand the root cause. It is said that an idle mind is a devil's workshop, meaning that if people are not occupied, they are likely to be attracted to doing something. And unfortunately for men and women, that something tends to be self-destructive. So the key commitment we are making is free education. We will remove the excuse that some of these children have by making education accessible and free.
But it is free at primary level at the moment, Mr. NYASULU.
Is it?
It is free from at primary level at the moment. But how would you better that?
Yeah, I mean, it is free in name only. Parents struggle to buy uniforms. Parents struggle to actually feed them so that they can go to school. So between going to school and going to get Kumbala, in rural Zambia, they prefer to go and town. That is why, even though it is free, you still have high levels of child marriage. Because it is free, it's unbasic. The practicalities of actually sending someone to school it ends up not being true. I benefited from a pool.
Now, in fact, just again, so we are discussing key commitments that would be allowed, especially for the people of LUSAKA. So for just now, we're just going to take a short break and we'll be back with our discussion.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market. Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we are here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Camnet TV is here to entertain, educate and inform you. Catch Rise and Thrive at 0730 hours every Saturday. Fresh and new praise and worship comes Monday to Friday at 8 hours. Kids need to be glued to the TV every weekday at 09 hours for their favorite cartoons. Off the pitch with the boys as they talk about sport on Saturdays at 0930 hours.
Remember, we are also here to entertain you with our different varieties of movies every weekday at 10 hours. Join Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua with Healing Word Ministries International Church live sermon every Sunday at 10 hours.
Katamanda brings to you another journey of gospel ministers on Saturdays at 10:30 hours. The verdict comes to your screens at 17:45 hours. Join the Revival Harvest Church every Sunday at 18:30 hours.
Every Monday to Saturday, join us on the news desk at 12 hours as we bring to you the midday news, and at 19:30 hours Central African time every day for the main bulletin.
The ministry with Pastor Moses Chilua comes every Friday at 20:45 hours. On Mondays, it's your favorite national matters at 20:45 hours.
Wednesday and Thursday, Pastor Victoria and Moses Chilua are on Partnership of Greatness with different spiritual teachings at 20:45 hours.
And Frank on Camnet comes to your screen every Tuesday at 20:45 hours.
Camnet TV, not just another channel. Zambia has embarked on an economic journey for individual financial emancipation, empowering its citizens through land acquisition and developing the nation through agriculture. This time, Zambians are coming together, taking it upon themselves with the help of government to develop this great nation by taking individual responsibility and ownership of this great nation. The economic revolution has started. There are thousands of Zambians with a can-do mindset who are resolute, unstoppable, full of confidence and conviction that Zambia's set time of favor for development is now. Don't be left out. This could be the time you have been waiting for. Camnet Television, in conjunction with the United Agrivision Consultancy Limited, will be hosting a national conference on becoming a millionaire through agriculture. Date: 1st October and 2nd October 2021. Charges: 750 kwacha per person per day, that includes lunch. A limited number of participants through Zoom have also been reserved. You can also be part of the conference from the comfort of your home by registering online via Zoom, joining the people who were born for greatness. Charges for participation via Zoom are only 300 kwacha per person. Time: 0730 hours to 17 hours. Registration and confirmation of attendance will take place on the 29th of September 2021. Time: 14 hours to 17 hours. Venue: the Healing Word Ministries International, the home of Camnet Television in Abex Hill, Kabulonga Road, Lusaka.
Thank you for staying tuned. We are discussing key commitments for the UPND Alliance in this year's general election at mayoral level, and we are discussing the city of Lusaka. My guest is Mr. Victor NYASULU. We started by discussing a pertinent issue, which is on alcohol abuse and drug abuse. Now, you were responding to those commitments before I interrupted you earlier, Mr. NYASULU. So I wanted to get your commitment on that, because we are seeing that issue escalate in various issues, like the area mentioned in my preamble, eating chawama, matero, mutendere, chivore, but these are constituencies you'll be taking over if provided you are given a chance as to lead the people. So I want to get your aspect in terms in the aspect to say families, if families are breaking down, but what would be your first intervention to ensure that family ties are strengthened and the culture of extended family is also brought back?
Thank you, Patrick. So our first intervention is to support the families as much as possible. In the UPND, we have given thought, we have a policy on public housing. And when we say public housing, we will be concentrating on those people who are usually ignored. When you talk about, for example, housing, the first people in this government that are considered are the civil servants, then the parastatal workers, then the people in proper jobs in the private sector. Those people who are low-income families are left to fend for themselves in substandard housing. Substandard housing means that they don't have access to clean drinking water, they don't have obviously access to proper and adequate sanitation, they don't have power, and so on and so forth. So we think that by supporting them through proper housing, using all sorts of ways, including low-cost interest loans that are guaranteed by the state, we can help them. Because if the families have proper housing, and the families, remember, if they have proper housing, which is predicated on the bigger plan, UPND are saying to the Zambian people that, look, the economy has been mismanaged, and it is now in doldrums. We are promising a better economy, real jobs. The PF, when they began this journey 10 years ago, we're talking about as many as 500,000 jobs. You know, they will not tell us what they have achieved, but it's almost nothing compared to what they promised. We will not be talking, we are not talking about jobs that don't exist. We're talking about real jobs. And how will we do that? We will emphasize on production as opposed to being dependent on importing even matches. We can't have that, because we used to make matches in this country. We used to make, sticks for trying to remove something in your teeth. We used to do that here. So if you create production value chains, you are likely to increase the number of people that you can employ. So, in summary, we will support low-income families by beginning with standard housing for them. We will also, now the sustainability of those families, once they are helped with low-cost standard housing, comes from the fact that we expect a better economy because we will emphasize on production value chains.
Interesting. But obviously, and I know you have touched a little bit while we were responding to that, we know that unemployment is among contributing factors to crime and vices such as abuse, prostitution, and so on. What blueprint do you have to curtail this time bomb?
We have been thinking hard and long over this matter. As a matter of fact, our key message, if you were to summarize it, is around the economy, it's around jobs, it's around food. So when it comes to food, we are saying that we will go to the input costs of producing the food. We will move, we know that we can land fertilizer at a third of what it is currently being sold at. So if we tackle the cost of fertilizer, the cost of all the chemicals that are required to produce food, we know we can bring the cost of food down. We know that we know that if we have SMEs, you know, Patrick, many Zambians after the economic liberalization policies of the MMD have a one Ntemba or other, you know. That's when we began to know how to try and survive on our own. But we know that some of those SMEs are not graduating into FDIs, for example. What I'm saying is, if you look at, let's take Trade Kings, for example. Trade Kings is a proudly Zambian company that has graduated from an SME, what I call a local development investment or investor, to FDI. So it is foreign direct investment in other countries, in the DRC and in South Africa. So what we will do, as you may remember, part of our blueprint for Lusaka is what we are calling, Lady Tisha, okay? So we are talking town and country planning, education for city development, and then on the second E, we are talking about the economy. So in the economy, what we will do is to study what's happening in Lusaka. We will establish a register for the political economy and law of Lusaka. What does that mean? Simply put, we want to know who owns what. We want to know, you're running in Ntemba. How long have you been running this in Ntemba? My challenges yano ni chani, so that we can do empowerment that is targeted, carefully targeted. There's no point trying to empower someone with $1 million or 1 billion kwacha when he's never known how to handle 100 kwacha. So we know that there are some Zambians who can develop from an SME, local development investor, to FDI, foreign direct investment investors. I mean, we have examples of that, like Savenda, Trade Kings, and so on and so forth. So we will be targeted. And we know that jobs can only be created by SMEs. Big companies cannot grow anymore in terms of increasing the number of laborers. But SMEs are in the growth path by definition. So we will support them. If they require rental help in a building they need, we'll look at options of giving them rent-free opportunity for 6 months, 1 year, so that they concentrate on growing the business. If it is market linkages that they require, we will make sure that all the market linkages companies that have been created actually work, so that somebody in Matero, Mandevo, does not need to be connected to the minister or to the mayor for them to get an opportunity to have their goods and services sold.
Mr. NYASULU, I also want to bring to your attention another important issue. This is the garden compound sewer pools, which have been eluded by many city fathers, especially when it comes to the water, also rainy season, they come with their challenges. The stench that comes from that area, mosquitoes, and it is also leads to diseases such as cholera and diarrhea-related illnesses. I want to find out what's your plan over those are sewer pools in a garden, to be specific?
Patrick, because we know the history of what happened as to how we now find people living in very short distance within the ponds, our solution is basically attacking the issue of housing in Lusaka. 70% of Lusaka lives in substandard housing. Now, just a bit of history. The ponds were actually followed by the people who now live there. And the story goes something like, Kanyama is on a difficult terrain, and it has always been. And in the Kaunda regime, there was even, the Kanyama disaster, which was mishandled, I'm sad to say. And nothing has been done since 1977 to try and resolve it. But there was an attempt to get people from Kanyama into Ibex Hill area. And there, the people said, well, no, Mr. Kaunda, you can't bring us here, because how would we be going to town? At that time, that place was a bush. So instead of the government of the day making sure that they modernize and provide means of people getting into town, they basically, put their hands off. And the people said, we would rather go and live near the sewer ponds. And that's how Garden began. Now, if we have had a working governments in that sense, in the first place, it shouldn't have been allowed, because environmentally and from a public health point of view, there's a certain minimum you require to live between a pond and the people who live there. So you can't have, like what I say around, that problem is similar to what we have at the Lusaka dump site. The thing which was meant to be I've forgotten what it is called. A landfill, which has now become a mountain of dirt, is now actually a dump site. Now, a dump site can't have people living there within 5 kilometers of that. So because if you don't, that is part of those diseases you're mentioning, we know them. But other diseases like cancers, if you go to Cancer Disease Hospital at UTH, you'll be shocked at some of the cancers we're having. Why? We have neglected the environmental health, and we are not, the way we are living is not sustainable. So our solution to the problem in those people who live at the sewer ponds is to provide low-cost standard housing. And we'll first build it before we begin a displacement or begin, because one of the things we're going to do is to check out the land audit in Lusaka. Who is holding what amount of land for what? And if we find that indeed there is no place in Lusaka, we must begin ways, we must look at many options, including repurchasing some of this. Listen, the sewer system in Lusaka was built for no more than 500,000 people. We are now close to 3 million. And people are now living where they shouldn't be living. I mean, that's unacceptable. We shouldn't accept that. So as the UPND, we're not going to shy away from this difficult decision to make.
But there was also talk about decommissioning those ponds. Isn't it a solution to stop utilizing them? Or, and because we've also seen Lusaka Water and Sewerage, sanitation now, expanding in other areas in terms of the sewer network. So I want to get information. I know you have a background with...
Yes, and in fact, just a bit of correction. There is nothing that is happening as far as the sewer infrastructure in the country right now. When I was at Lusaka Water and Sewerage Company, 5 years before I got there, I mean, I was there in 2006, 5 years before I got there, what we needed for Lusaka sewer at that time was somewhere in the region of $130 million. And from that time, nothing has happened up to now, except for some of the things that have come out of the Millennium Challenge account. in the sewer ponds in around Kaunda Square.
Yes.
So decommissioning is part of the solution, and for us, it may show when we do the land audit that maybe that's what we need to do. But whatever it takes, we are not shying away, because if we don't deal with this, we as a city will collapse completely, because this city is not sustainably being managed.
To bring to your attention the emphasis where the multi-facility economic zone, other environmental experts have also argued to say that is not a safe area for that such a facility, because it has potential to undermine or contaminate underground water. And I want to find out, have you taken an interest to understand also issues to do with the safety of underground water, now that you are also taking interest in environmental health? Yes.
I've always been interested in this, and obviously my stay at Lusaka Water helped me see this. But also, there's another exposure or experience that helps me look at these things. I used to sit as an audit committee member of the Lusaka City Council some time back. So this unsustainable development, which we seem to do, throwing away what the environmental experts tell us is not sustainable. And obviously, that area is said to be very near the aquifer for Lusaka. So if you begin to develop it using on-site sanitation methods, then you risk contaminating all the water. But it's the same thing around. We want to call the city and the country back to order. You will know that right now, I don't know whether the matter is out of court, but there's this issue of Forest 27, yes, which has been given over for development, and environmentalists and conservationists are arguing that, no, you can't do that. But it's going ahead. So this is what we must try and stop by re-examining the land use that we are doing in Lusaka. We must stop, we must listen to the experts. If we don't listen to the experts, we can't continue like this. It's unsustainable.
Now, I also want to find out, when you say, you talked about housing.
Yes, housing.
Yes, housing, yes. And it is projected that Zambia will be having a deficit of 3 million should be housing units by 2030, according to Sustainable Development projections. And as a city mayor given that mandate, for instance, how the housing deficit issue, because housing at the moment is not being given priority, and how would you commit to that yourself? Because
we are committing to that, and one of the reasons it hasn't been attended to is that because it's a big issue and it requires a lot of investment. I was asking some people who work at Lusaka City Council, and I asked a simple question. I said, look, since the Chiluba days, when the city houses were sold to sitting tenants, why haven't I heard any housing project from the city council? And the guys said, well, that's our question too. I don't understand how a city whose budget, for example, for this year is $15 million cannot do in a phased manner begin to do units that are properly prepared for people. So you see, when people talk about the housing deficit in Lusaka, in Zambia, the question you must ask yourself: how many people do you see actually sleeping outside? There are very few people you see sleeping outside. Everybody is sleeping somewhere. The only thing is that the housing they are sleeping in is not standard, is unhealthy, and it explains the high disease burden that this country has. You know, so we will approach it, and we'll approach it by using the doctrine of small things. You know, if you want to try and eat an elephant and you want to start with its biggest part, good luck if you're going to go very far. So we will take sections. So when I said our solution, if it is not decommissioning of those sewer ponds, is low-cost, standard, affordable housing. If it is not decommissioning, then we will not demolish anybody's house. We will not force anybody out of there. We will first start the project. There are many people who are interested in helping us. I know Habitat for Humanity. I know other well-meaning people that we could approach. You see, if you are a credible government, you can go anywhere, and the people will be willing to give you, because money follows ideas, and especially if those ideas are being said by credible people who have a track record, who are honest, we can do it, and we can do it small by small. Pangono pangono. You take 100 houses, and they say you're going to do 100 houses in a sustainable city, and move them there. When we talk sustainable city, we are saying that a city whereby people are now thinking, okay, in the Netherlands, people are now thinking a sustainable city is one where everything that you need, Patrick, is within 15 minutes walk or 5 minutes riding a bicycle. So sustainable means that you're not having as many cars which are doing emissions, and then everything that you need is within 15 minutes. You can walk, and everything is covered in green. That is sustainable. You bring me to another issue of bicycles. We are seeing developed cities, let's say China, for instance, bicycles are an important transport, component of transport in those areas. Yes. And they are communal bikes. Communal bikes, yes. In developed cities. Yes, yes. But are we seeing us going to that as well? Definitely. We will not shy away from experimenting on that, because we have no choice. The way Lusaka is run is unsustainable. And if we are going to run it properly, we have to think about those. I was just reading about a new sustainable city or place of 12,500 people, inhabitants, some place in Netherlands. And that's what they're talking about. It's got more bicycles than people. And, it's common bicycles, and you've got walkways. And I mean, here in Zambia, in Lusaka, there are more pedestrians and cyclists than motorists. But motorists, that's where all the money has gone in the last 10 years when you talk about public transport. And we don't share these cars. I mean, you can find a family of 3, they have got 2 cars, and others don't. So all that is unsustainable. So we will examine how that can be done. Look, I know Horizon Properties, a local Zambian entity, is already talking about a sustainable city development. And they have a project off Greatest Road as you go to Chongwe, where that is happening. Those kind of entities are the ones we would enter into private-public partnerships with, to try and see how we can begin to get people out of places like Garden Compound and taking them there. Mr. NYASULU, the population growth is something that is also outgrowing the local authorities' ability to provide services. I want to find out how we would want to tackle this, because we are seeing a rapid increase in population whereby the council is unable to satisfy the needs of these communities. And do you have a plan for that? Yes, you see, what I've always wondered about Lusaka City Council is that once I bought a piece of land from Lusaka City Council, and they gave me a bill which they call service charge. And service for me means that there are roads, there are sewer lines, and there are, So when I asked them many years ago, they said, no, that is not covered, because we just look at the amount of money we are charging. But you know, the people, some of the people in Lusaka are able to pay whatever they need to pay if you can provide them the services. So the ability of the council to do that, the question is, where have they been all this time? Why have they given up, that they don't know what to do? So for us, what we are saying is that in the first T in our T-shirt change for Lusaka is town and country planning. So there are two things. There are those things which are without regard to the town and country planning laws and regulations. For those ones, we are saying there will be an amnesty with the relevant terms and conditions so that we regularize. And then for those, there will be nothing new in Lusaka under our reign which will be done using shortcuts. Because shortcuts are dangerous. They kill us and they'll make us unsustainable. So it's a catch-up thing for Lusaka because the governors are behind the governed. The governed, those who are the middle class and the rich, they are able to do things on their own. The rest of the people are left to fend for themselves. But when there is a crisis like cholera, we all get affected. So we can't just sit back and say, well, the poor you always have. No, as a matter of fact, that's a misinterpretation of Scripture. When Jesus Christ says the poor you always have, it doesn't mean that they necessarily must be forced to drink dirty water. Now, these same poor are the same ones who provide services for maids, their services for laborers, their services. So, since they have come in town, we must be up to the task to make sure that wherever they decide to settle, we provide the services.
Thank you. Now, we all know that much as we are conducting elections, we are conducting them amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. And obviously, this pandemic will be with us for a while, even beyond the August 12 general elections. And Mr. NYASULU, I want to learn how we would better manage the COVID situation in the city, in as far as ensuring that people adhere to COVID-19 guidelines, as well as issues to do with vaccination. Do you have a plan?
Yes, we do. We have a very elaborate plan, which was expressed very well by our president, Hakainde Hichilema, when he last addressed the press officially. And that is, in fact, it is immediately after that address, because in that address we were saying, first of all, I would like to take note and thank God that the numbers, the numbers of people being caught with COVID are coming low. I mean, I last heard a number of 17, below 20. Mm-hmm. And then the deaths also are reducing. So we thank God for that. And I hope Corona will not be with us for a very long time. But if it is, as it is showing, we have a very elaborate plan. One of the things we said in that press conference by President HH was that we would distribute masks for free at markets. No sooner had that statement been made, and we were magnanimous enough. We were not saying that plan of ours, we were not saying we are the only ones who are going to do it. We said, please, if you can get some of these, go ahead and do them. And the President Lungu, actually, was the first one to actually start the mask distribution for free at Mtendere Market. We took a clue from that, and we've been doing it. We've been following the lead. So yes, our plan involves also making sure that the value chain around attending to COVID-19 is established and is restricted to Zambians in as far as it is possible. For example, mask making is something that we can industrialize at a high scale and be able to empower our people to do. Then there's also this issue of personal protective equipment. Mm-hmm. So as far as we are able, we may not have the formula for making the vaccine, but everything else that around that surrounds the vaccine administration, the equipment, and so on and so forth, those are value chains we are going to invest in so that we can reduce the pressure on finding dollars to do that. But also, we are a disciplined government because we are a government that's going to be disciplined.
How been tested, Mr. NYASULU?
Well, first of all, I have taken my first jab. Oh, well, in terms of government, I meant to say we shall run a disciplined government, a government of laws, and a government that is disciplined. So we will plan. Because the situation which is there right now is that the number of vaccines that are available are such that if everybody in Zambia who is 18 and above were to go and try and get their first jab, they are not enough. Okay, so it's a planning issue, and it's also a question of availability of money.
When we talk about planning, that brings me to another issue of city planning, which has been said to be poor by many development actors. I want to find out what plans do you have to probably engineer the city to make it more sustainable?
Yes, so as I said and I've said before, the first point in our campaign for Lusaka is actually town and country planning. I just don't understand how we've allowed some things to happen. You have heard, Patrick, of cases where the Lusaka City Council has gone and demolished a house, which is at roof level. How does that happen? Because there's no house, a proper house is never built overnight. So where are the city planning inspectors when people are actually raising those houses, only to come and demolish them at roof level? Completely heartless about the investment that has gone into there. How will we do it? Well, there are laws around these things, so we will implement the laws, adjust the laws that need to be adjusted. Did you know that to have a building, I mean, I have not done that, I can tell you, I can confess here, but to have a house standing properly, you need 12 inspections. I can challenge all the people who have built in the last 10 years if they have had 12 inspections done by the council. But even if you went to the council to try and get it signed, it will be the council people who will be trying, no, we can just write. I mean, I know it. My wife went to buy a license for what we want to be doing. And we're still building the toilet facilities. But she actually got the license, for trading license. So how is that license being given before the guys actually come on site to inspect? So we are going to follow the laws, but we will not make it unnecessarily difficult so that we stifle development. We must remember that these laws were bequeathed to us by the British. And their cities work. London works, although it's got many people than Lusaka. So if they are the ones who gave us these rules and they follow them, and London works, why are we saying that, no, we shouldn't be following these laws? And look, we have a city that is unsustainable. We will implement the laws, we will reform the laws where we need to reform, and we improve metro policing. We are introducing metro policing. We have council police, but when did you last even freeze a little when you saw the Kanyangu from City Council? Do you even know that they are policemen from the council? Because they are not felt anymore, but they used to work. So when we are in government, as a disciplined government, we will have metro policing. We've got plans on how we can make it work. For example, get retired men in uniform to set up the first command, and of course employ younger people. But the metro policing is going to work so that the laws around, because the first thing we're going to do in terms of education for city development, we will be broadcasting rules around how to live in the city of Lusaka. And when we have done 90 days of city education on how to live, we will go to implementation, meaning metro policing, allowing people to do citizens arrest where there is need, and also we will make sure that some of the laws are so painful that people don't do it again. What I mean is, in London, for example, there are some places in the central business district where you cannot take your car there. Now, if you think that you can take your car, you can take the car. Then they'll give you a ticket, what they call a ticket. But the price of that ticket is such that there's nothing like we don't know where you work, we don't know what business you do, but you've got a lot of money. There's nothing. Everywhere is accounted for. So when somebody charges you £300 for breaching a traffic law by going into a place that is auto-free, you will not do it again. So there are some things which we will make so difficult in terms of punishment so that people don't do it.
I want to bring to your attention we have Ngwenya Dam in one of the areas, which is Chawama constituency to be specific. This Ngwenya Dam has been there for a while now, but the locals there feel the dam sometimes poses a risk, especially we've seen people drowning there, people being drowned by these so-called junkies. We are also, but they were also seeing a commercial interest coming on board to probably revive that area. But all those issues have not materialized to date. What would be your immediate plan for that dam to make it sustainable?
The first thing is to just understand why it can't work, because a few kilometers, well, many kilometers, maybe 50 kilometers after that dam, there is what is called Grand Canyon. There's a private citizen there who has made it into a very nice outing place for people. So I just don't know what happened in 1991 when we changed governments. It's like there's nothing that the city council can do which works. So for us, for me, that is why I would like to be mayor, because there are some things which I know work elsewhere, and I don't understand why they can't work here. So we will study what the challenges are, and we will make it work. Interesting.
Now, I want to bring you to the political scenario, Mr. NYASULU. Your political party, the UPND Alliance, was banned from undertaking campaign activities, and that is in Kanyama constituency, following the episodes of violence. But I want to find out how will that affect your ability to maximize votes, especially that we are just a few days from poll day.
First of all, that is a very unfortunate incident, and we regret the deaths of those people who died. Those deaths are needless and they are avoidable. I will tell you what is happening right now, which is very unfortunate. As a mayoral team, we wanted to put a billboard in Kanyama at Diana School. The first time when we informed our people that we are coming to put it, or we are bringing the canvas that must be put on the billboard, we were told that there were cadres who are armed, suspected PF cadres. So I and my campaign manager went to the police, and we met Police Commissioner Sakala and the Chief of Operations, Mr. Mwale, and we said to them...
I will direct you for that so that we just accommodate this call. Hello, you are through to Kamni TV.
Hello?
Hello, we can get you.
Hello?
Hello, you are through to Kamni TV.
Yes, come on, TV.
Okay, munga ndime bandani zina mutumira kuti. Okay.
Bandani zina.
Bandani zina.
Kelvin.
Well, Kelvin,
Yes.
you can go ahead with your contribution. Okay.
Dam.
Okay. Oh. Awe, Zambeka wa Kelvin. Ziko. I think he's just trying to contribute to what you were saying earlier about Tongwenya Dam. And he's saying that even farmers can utilize that for irrigation.
Irrigation, of course.
So, while you were also going to do that assessment, he's also given some of the suggestions of how that dam can be utilized. And yeah, I know if you can respond to it before we proceed with that question you were tackling.
Yes. No. Thank you, Kelvin. Actually, we will have what is called an ideas bank, where people like him can put in, and we will assess. And if it is implemented and it does well for the city, there will be a mayoral award for the person who brought the idea. That's workable. But thank you very much.
Yeah, now I want you to get back. Before I interrupted you, you were responding to, you were trying to put up a billboard.
Yes. So the police told us that it is not their duty to help us, and that they've never had such a request before. And we said, yeah, but we are giving you an opportunity to prevent something before we can do it. But they say they want to protect their jobs, and we are surprised that protecting their jobs does not include protecting us in a preventive way. So if, for example, the soldiers which have been now unleashed on us were taken there before, those lives would not have been lost. So we regret those deaths, as apparently, although because we've been treated very unfairly in this way. Statements were made to insinuate, for example, that both of them are PF cadres. It is now coming to our attention that one of them is actually a UPND. So we would prefer still that a professional investigation is done, and this ECZ must stop doing this thing of laziness. Just go and then ban. No. You got to do a professional investigation. And for death, it's a very big thing. You can't start making decisions based on that and ban a party like. It's unfair because Kanyama is our stronghold, one of our strongholds, and it is not fair what has happened. But we thank God because we now have the watermelon concept, and we thank God because voting in a democratic dispensation is secret ballot. So we've got our people in Kanyama, and we will just use this to really think about vote protection rather than going door to door.
So you want to be disadvantaged?
What can we do? We have people who are saying they are Democrats, but they are not interested in making sure that the democratic dispensation is enjoyed by everyone.
Hello, you are through to Kame TV.
Hello?
You are through to Kame TV. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Ati ndimwe bandani?
Ndine Godwell
Kwakamanga.
Yes.
You can go ahead, sir.
Nifuna nisiko contribute pa hii ya kwa Kanyama hiyo. Hiyo bakie kwa Kalimani very careful. Kuli wena kumana toka mapati ziena mkuwacho hii na tenjewa ni na maplani ya yokuwa chai desi oro kuchaki la vayu jensi ya kiwa tuwacha violence. From the start of my campaign, I have now kuyamba kwawo bali against violence then for Pakistan. There is no way panda niyolimba zina yako then uli mu violence. So bakalekea tumaningo atie kuli wamene wakuna kwa wanonga zina yao that is a kutuwa nga wanonga zina yawe namu. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution, sir.
Thank you.
Well, we're just saying that the PF is infiltrated with people who want to cause violence there. I don't know if you want to add to this.
I just want to say that the government of the Republic of Zambia needs to be proactive. And I think that is why, as the UPND, one of the things we will do is to do a reform on the law so that when you are going to an election, 3 months before you are going to an election, the existing president needs to also step aside. And then we get somebody more unrelated to the elections to actually be ruling. Because you even get people say, no, HH and Mr. Lungu, you can't compare those two. For crying out loud, Mr. Lungu is Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Head of State, Head of Government. And Mr. HH has none of those things. So Mr. HH can't tell anybody to do anything in that sense. So we would like to be more preventive. And it's a fact that in many cases, the PF are the ones instigating, and we are on the defense. And everybody has a right to defend themselves. What we refuse in UPND is we are telling everyone, and we've never told anyone to go and instigate anything. It is people, maybe as they say, the PF has been infiltrated, as Mr. Boswell is saying. Yeah, so that's an internal PF problem. Thankfully for them, their candidate is actually Commander-in-Chief as we are talking. And so we are saying he should be preventive to help us so that it's a fair playing field.
You are through to Kame TV. Hello?
Hello? Good evening.
Yes, good evening. May we have your name and where you're calling us from?
This is from Sanjay Kanyama.
Wom Sanjay, you can go ahead with your contribution.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Wom Sanjay. I'm fine. How are you?
We are suffering peacefully here in Kanyama.
A few more days. Just where we are going is nearer than where we've come from.
Indeed, Honorable. This violence is being perpetrated by PF in Kanyama. Everyone knows that there are the aggressor. We have got a camp here in Kanyama, in 1090. We have broken down up to the ground level. And the police station is just 500 meters away from the door. And people thought because the police is something which is happening here, somebody come to the case suddenly to turn the gun. Moreover, we have got a camera settled there at the school, which is they use our tax money. But it can't capture anything. What was the use of buying these expensive cameras in USAKA here? If they cannot capture this virus. On top of that, some the software in the virus is expensive more as their own businesses, but they can't use them. What are they keeping them for? If they cannot use against the ATM cutters, or the opposition.
We got his message there. I think he's also adding on to the issue of violence in Kanyama.
Yes.
So maybe you would want to digest his views, and you also as we are coming to the 10 minutes of our
Okay.
discussion.
I just want to say, let the nation know that we eventually managed, coming back to my billboard, we eventually managed to put the billboard at a place not originally meant. We put it at 2 a.m. At 8 a.m. it was removed. Some witnesses say that when it was removed, it was taken in the direction where a non-PF candidate lives. This case is being entered in the occurrence book at Kanyama Police. Up to now, there is nothing that has happened. So there is no interest by those taxpayers' money to protect us to work in a preventive manner. They just want to work when the horses have bolted. 2 lives are, 1 life lost is 1 too many. Okay? I heard the president say, no, I'm releasing the soldiers not because it's a peer. No, but by the very fact that he added those words to say not because it's a PF is suspect, because anybody who dies, just 1, is enough for a head of state and the police to act. Now, at this time, they need to do defensive or protective policing, not after the fact. So here we are. In John Leng, our camp is the one which has been destroyed, and the police will not go and attend to it. Well, maybe that's what they mean by saying we are protecting our jobs. So when we say that the country has collapsed and needs to be reset and rebuilt, that's what we meant, because everything has been affected to our disadvantage as the people of Zambia.
Mr. NYASULU, your last words.
Well, it's just next week. We would like to appeal to the Lusakans to vote for Hakainde Hichilema, otherwise known as Hope and Help, for president. Vote for me as a, oh yes, so vote for HH for president, vote for me for governance, which is related to the biggest thing in Lusaka, which is public health collapse. So vote for me. Vote for our 7 members of parliament in Lusaka and our 38 young and able councillors if you want to see Lusaka go forward to transformation and sustainability. But I also appeal to the rest of the country that give someone called Hakainde Hichilema a chance. The PF, as Mr. Eric Chanda said, are like a contractor. So their work has been done, and since the work has been done, and they're failing to pay even the Congoles they got to do this work, I think it's time for them to go. The economy is not okay, so who else other than an economist like Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, who has distinguished himself as a person who knows how to look after himself and his family, that he can actually help us. When you are in trouble, you must go to someone who is better than you. You don't go to somebody who has problems in honesty, who has problems in looking after himself. No, you don't. So let's give Zambia a chance to those of us who have gotten much from Zambia, free education, exposed, educated. Let's give us a chance to help you, help all of us.
Mr. NYASULU, thank you for coming for the program.
Thank you very much, Patrick.
Well, our dear viewers, we've come to the end of this episode of The Verdict. Be sure to join us with another interesting episode in the subsequent days. Remember, The Verdict comes to your screens on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We come with interesting topic in the build-up to the August 12 general elections. Remember, ours is an objective platform so that you people can listen to the aspiring candidates